So I guess Ric Flair's in the news again. He was on a podcast and he said he lost all respect for Jim Ross. Ric Flair lost all respect for Jim Ross. Why? Because get this, he took part in an interesting docuseries called Dark Side of the Ring. That's it. That's all he did. The same Jim Ross who called all Flair's classics in the 80s. The same Jim Ross that called him the greatest of all time in 2008 on commentary during Raw and the WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame before that. Same Jim Ross that does all this for Ric Flair. And Ric Flair says, get this is the best part. Ric Flair says he's doing it to stay relevant. Wow, pop me kettle, Ric Flair. You do everything you can to stay relevant. And his last match, what a joke. Ric Flair's matches are so formulaic that they're the exact same things every time. Look in the 80s versus Barry Windham, Sting, and Luger. All great NWA classics, but they're the same thing. The woo, the strut, the flip over the buckle, and then the chop on the apron, the chops in the corner, the side headlock takedown into a roll up, and a kick out. I can see it all in my head, and the crowd going crazy. Him on his knees saying no, 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 and then a thumb to the eye, and then another roll up, and outside more chops, and it's the same shit. It's great shit in a way, but it's the same shit. Jim Ross was diversified. Jim Ross could tell different stories. Jim Ross doesn't have to stay relevant. Jim Ross loves what he does. Ric Flair, I'm not sure if he loves the business or just himself in the business. This man deserved a bigger send-off than Ric Flair. Who made Vince McMahon more money, Ric Flair or Randy Savage? Think about that. Obviously, we know political reasons. Ric Flair is Triple H's favorite wrestler, right? So, God forbid Ric Flair not be the greatest ever. Anyway, that's my opinion. And I'm sticking to that. And by the way, there's other people in Dark Side of the Ring, the documentary series. Jim Cornette, just because WWE doesn't like him doesn't mean he's not a legend. Chris Jericho. So what? Just are those people out of respect for Ric Flair's mind? Like Ric Flair, Steve Austin. It's quite the endorsement from Steve Austin, who I believe is the greatest ever. He called Ric Flair the greatest ever, but he made fun of his age in '94 on Flair for the Gold. The Flair for the Old, I should say. Him and Pillman's knock on the '83 Starrcade with Harley Race. Flair for the Gold. In 1994, they had a show, Pillman and Austin, as the Hollywood Blondes, a Flair for the Old. So in 1994, they did that show and they made fun of his age. And in 1998, Steve Austin on Off the Record, an old Canadian broadcast show with Michael Landsberg, Austin on that 1998 show, Off the Record, said that it's time for Flair to hang him up. That was 30 years ago. Not quite, but you get the picture. Ric Flair needs to stay relevant. And I don't know if this was another attempt, but Rick, for God's sakes, man, save any dignity you have left and just shut the hell up. It's too much. It's too much. I respect Rick, but he's got to shut up when it comes to real legends. All right, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.